Twitch, YouTube. Give me one hot second here. Forgive me, I just got home and off the phone with my mother, who the definition of a quick conversation is like 15 minutes. So really thought, yeah, she's defending herself. It's like, according to my phone, we talked exactly for 15 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's 14 minutes and 30 seconds more than what I define as a quick conversation. But anyway, here we are. I actually would have made my time cut off were it not for call with my mother. More to the point, that's very quiet on my end. Ahem. More to the point, Phoenix Wright.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said.
This is good that we have a flashback, because I completely blanked on what we're doing here. I'll panic to get this started in roughly the right amount of time. Kaida, for a full year, thank you. Weird that I have more people who've been subscribed for longer than you, woman I love, but I appreciate the full year anyway. Love to see it with the Prime sub. Drastic crimes... Hold the mic closer to me. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. Reach your maid in time. You sure you don't need some rest? Nah, I'm fine. I was, if I seem, out of shape, it's because, or winded, I suppose. It's out of sorts is what I was trying to say. It's because I just got off the phone with my mother while I'm just standing in front of my computer gesturing to the heavens above to fucking make this woman hang up and be done with this conversation. I've had it 3 times before. Jesus. But, it's just family thing. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings.
Sounds like everyone heard about these killings but me. Phoenix, what the hell were you doing? Clearly this was like national news.
Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me.
What do you mean, what happened to you?
It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was prosecutor Neil Marshall. He was murdered when he murdered Officer Marshall's brother. He left behind an incriminating piece of evidence.
A signed affidavit that says, I, Joe Dark, having killed 6 people. But what did that have to do with those killings, Emma? I'm sorry, what? Did you just ask what? What?
On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me.
What? He tried to kill you? That wasn't either of her.
Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me.
Well, that's... No pun intended, that's dark. So that means you...
Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial.
I don't think that counts as forged evidence. I think, that's kind of a decisive evidence thing. Happy tears. It is sad. Didn't see that one coming. So tell me about the SL9 incident.
It happened 2 years ago, right about this time of year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work.
Speaking of, I have lunch right in front of me. Have not eaten. You'll forgive me if I tear into that during the stream. Got a big old pizza.
Then suddenly this terrifying man came bursting into the office.
Joe Dark.
No, not yet. It actually was just the plumber. He was very scary. Joe Dark came like an hour later. Anyway. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up.
Jake Marshall's brother. Thanks for the commentary there, Phoenix. Just got a call and I have an interview this week. Hey, good stuff. Where's it with? Or, what kind of work is it, at least?
Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then,
what happened?
I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture into my mind. I can still see...
Yeah, that's what that means, thank you. A permanent picture? Just don't follow up on that with its own separate line of questioning.
I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall.
So you weren't able to testify about... I think she would have been able to, actually. You know, the whole hostage situation.
No, I was only asked about when I was attacked.
It's web developer position and it's remote. Hey, great stuff. Might be able to finish this long as hell case today. Maybe, hopefully. I can certainly get the achievement for the lunchbox today. Because it's not that far into the day. I just need... Next time I'm at the underground parking lot, really. Ahem.
That must be Wylana, why she made up the crime.
She didn't make anything up. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? It sounds like you were taken hostage, which itself is a crime.
Prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly.
Also, he did murder a man.
What a forged evidence, and Mr. Edgeworth used it.
Edgeworth?
Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. Rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened.
So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence.
After the case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today.
She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. Well, that's grim. What I missed so far? The stream just started, so not much. What did you see in the instant that the crime occurred? Joe Dark's hair is, very Acorn-esque. I'm gonna assume his favorite Pokemon is Seedot.
Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife.
Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl.
I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms.
Poor Emma. You've been through so much. Stupid idiot, there's no one in court!
Couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident.
Well, no, you're in the wrong courtroom. There's no judge or anything. Come on, Emma. Forensic investigator, my ass.
I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good.
I gotta see this picture. All dark moment aside here, gotta see this picture. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Now, that's quite young to be testifying against a serial killer, I mean.
Once it was all over, I made up my mind.
Finally on time for the stream. Yeah, you and me both.
I decided when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crimes with my testimonies.
I think it's the evidence you provide rather than testimony. Wanda admitted to providing bogus evidence in the last stream, but if you ask me, she didn't need to. Probably not. Even though they didn't get the shade dipshit on murder charge, you could easily prosecute him for taking a hostage and killing a detective. Wouldn't have been difficult, yeah.
And find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way Lana would never have to forge any.
I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. Something puzzling. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma, and it's this goddamn pizza. Let's get a slice of that action, shall we? Quite hungry. It just ripped in the box, so I've got like half of a single piece. Emma, you want any? No? Cool. Special thanks to my fiance for ordering this for me, so it was ready and waiting when I got home. Ahem. That thing that's puzzling me.
What is it?
You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right?
That's right.
This is not good to play one-handed when one of the characters requires a pinched nose. I'm thinking the pizza. Well, as long as the stream goes on. Yeah, well. I'll try and avoid eating as much as I can on camera, but when hunger strikes me, you know. On mic, rather, I mean. Why would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor. I imagine he didn't know the building that well and was just kind of running wherever.
Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day.
Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? No, the janitor.
Of course.
Thank you, Emma.
This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview.
Interview?
And fled into my sister's office.
But why'd he run all the way over to your sister's office? Maybe they were next to each other, Phoenix.
Is that... Yeah, detective's office in the questioning room right across from the elevator.
Oh. Across from the elevator? Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she?
No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective.
She got her law degree quick.
She was the best in the entire force.
What? That's news to me.
After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor.
Don't think that's how that works. Lana used to be a detective. I'd better have another talk with her. Alright, well that's, an interesting detail, I suppose. A new wrinkle. Hey, Lana, what's up?
Lana!
Or Lana, whatever. Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we?
But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty.
I mean, she only did it the one time, right? Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh. About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Yes, please. But more importantly, a lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. What a review. Yeah, I think interrogation was probably the word they meant to use. He's being questioned, and Phoenix, you moron, of course the shady dipshit was called in by police for questioning. It's not like there was a job interview or some such. Yeah, I think interview is just a poor choice of word by the translator. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be.
That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it?
Well, I mean, a serial murder got what he deserved. I think if they happen to, you know, slip in a little bit of a signed confession here and there, I'm okay with that. You know, I'll say it. I'll say the loud thing that we're all thinking, or the quiet thing we're all thinking, you know, whichever way you want to play that. I don't mind when it's Joe Dark getting the axe, alright? Don't make a habit out of falsifying this evidence, but I don't mind in this particular instance.
I believed in you, Lana. I believe that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth.
The truth is, he was a serial killer, alright? Probably wasn't just gonna get off the hook or anything, but he was still a serial killer. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At the trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, thank you, Phoenix. The fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department.
Tell me it's not true, Lana, what the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us?
Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago.
She was amazing.
Tonal shift there.
They still talk about the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together.
Chief Gant? He was deputy chief of the police back then, but he still worked the crime scene. Ah, good for him. Damon Gant, he was everything I aspired to be. Terrifying? Well, you're not really on the right path then. You have to take long pauses and stare into my soul a bit longer.
They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed.
And we were surprised they falsified evidence? Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was...
to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you can use that experience in court, right?
Oh. I guess that makes sense. So what, she was a detective and in law school? Jesus. It's a lot of time management you have. Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Drake. Second in command? That means the investigative lead was Damon Gant, right? I agree Joe got what he deserved, but in nobody's defense, these moron dipshits didn't need bogus evidence. Probably not. Even though they didn't have enough evidence for serial murder, the moron took a hostage and killed a prosecutor in a police building. Could have run with that angle. Yeah, it does sound stressful. I'm a lead detective and also in law school to become a prosecutor. Maybe she already passed the bar, but didn't, like, become a lawyer. She instead went to the police academy and became a detective as a result, while still being certified to practice law, so that she could, sort of just quickly and seamlessly hop over into the prosecutor's building once she felt she had enough experience. Which at least sounds less stressful than detective and law school at the same time. Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. You would have been very junior to him at the time. We led a team of the best detectives on the force, and also that cowboy fuck Jake Marshall. Neil sounds like he was okay. Jake's a fuck up. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. This here's a map! Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. How did you know it was him without having evidence? Because, surely something must have been pointing to him that you had to do a bit more than just ask him to come in of his own volition. You couldn't even arrest him on suspicion. That's when his final murder took place, when he tried to murder Emma.
Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark.
You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages. Dark must have suddenly panicked. So we waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. Didn't cuff him or anything. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself.
That's where he found me.
So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana. It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. Whew, that's, Wait, what happened? Yeah, Marshall's clearly got a knife in his back there. Very, just accurate depiction of murder you've got there. Thanks. And he's laying down on top of Dark. I'm guessing Marshall tried to tackle him and Dark put the knife in his back? And Dark, I don't know, was unconscious or something? He, landed on his head? Took a knock to the noggin there as he fell over. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, victim Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. Oh! What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I would too, to be fair. Picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her, after all. Her sister must have gone through. After all, her sister must have gone through. Kind of thought that the phrasing there would be a little bit different. Lana, where'd you get that pizza? They provided it to me. Wonderful cafeteria here in the detention center. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. She was still quite junior to the seashell beard there. Yeah. I'm guessing they had circumstantial evidence pointing to Dark, but not enough to prosecute and arrest. Damn. Thought maybe he'd slip up during interrogation and give them enough info to prosecute him or some such. Probably. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the Yes, Phoenix. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it.
What are you saying?
There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident, just by chance. I'm inclined to agree, actually.
But that case was solved 2 years ago.
Yeah, an Edgeworth thing was, solved or left open or whatever 15 years ago. What's your point? At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. Gee, I wonder why.
I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark.
No, he made it clear that Dark got what he deserved. There was just something else, apparently. Life doesn't end with the closing of the case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I share. The office that Mr. Gant occupies by himself now. The chief's office. What happened to the old chief's office? Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Well, shit, alright. I could go for the achievement. Think I just might try it. Yeah, such a coincidence, chances are abysmally low. I mean, exact same people being involved in 2 cases by coincidence. Yeah, although that's, that is unlikely. Ooh, seems like this, they might just give me this lunchbox, which means the achievement could be getting right now. Oh, goddammit, Star has to actually be here for it to happen, though.
Everyone's probably busy looking to exactly what went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are.
But we proved in court today, on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15.
Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case.
But instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Phoenix, you dumb fuck. That's exactly what you did.
Hang in there, Lana.
Maybe start presenting evidence to people at this point as well. Oh, maybe. It sounds like what I need to do is, go to the chief's office. Yeah, that's actually exactly what I need to do. I'm cheating a little bit and looking at the guide because I really want this stupid lunchbox achievement, which I get to by going here. And then, moving beyond that. Howdy, partner. Howdy, Bambina.
Oh, Mr. Marshall.
I never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera sera. Que sera sera. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning.
Billy?
Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, we can't go into the evidence room today, partner.
But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it?
Why do prospectors head west? That's where the gold is. If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Alright, let's have a word there, old Marshall. Tell us about the Dark trial. Something fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, all right. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised.
A question?
A bit unrelated, did any of you upgrade to Windows 11? Nope. And if you did, what's your opinion of it so far? Well, can't comment, so... The blade and the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance the knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. I mean, it's possibly wiggled the knife around or broke the fucking thing off inside of your poor brother. Grim to think about, but that would definitely make the wound a bit different.
The scars on the SLI incident left behind.
I got the looks. No, you didn't, but he got the brains. I believe it. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together.
How old was he, your brother?
He was 27 at the time. That's like my age, roughly, give or take, maybe. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean King of Prosecutors? I knew it. So why didn't Manfred von Karma win that year? Or what are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother.
The day the SL9 incident took place wasn't the same day as...
That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. Really? God, everything interesting happens on this day, doesn't it? Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. Tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. That definitely suggests foul play. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Knew that later, maybe? I don't know. Every detective involved in the investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. Again, why bogus evidence? Seemed like they had more than enough to arrest Dark, after that little escapade of his in the police building. You're not wrong! Although it sounds like the evidence might be on whether or not, his brother was killed by Dark. Which, that would be interesting. Maybe something else happened. Maybe. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him, too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They.
Who are you talking about?
Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Gant and Sky? Scant, if you will. The investigation lead, Damon Gant, and his second-in-command, Lana Sky. It's a good photo of them. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. The case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant, new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She'd never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective, that's what they would say. Now they mentions it, Emma said something like that too.
Tell me, what happened to my sister?
Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. Someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Bold accusation. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Spit? What? Too bad I won't be around to work with you. When you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Yeah, I understand firing him. He kind of fucked up. Let's lighten our spirits with the odd couple here. Rise from the asses. Ha! Got him! Patrolman guy's saluting. So I cuffed the lout, right? And you know what he says? What are you, a moron? I'm an undercover agent. Oh man, I hate it when that happens.
I guess he wasn't saluting, he was just listening to how his friend messed up.
They make a good pair. Ah, those two idiots. Love them. Anyway. Criminal Affairs Department. Oh great, now who? Guys, no way, I replaced ashes with asses, my dude. I'm so funny. We have a rule about being funnier than me. I think I've explained it enough times. It's not allowed. Arg, if you could ban him for life, I'd appreciate it. place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. Except for, the two guys who are always here.
That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes.
Probably Chief of Detectives, not Gant. Oh, if it's the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is usually the word for those. Solving or committing, because you can't really tell nowadays. Well, commentary. But, yeah, when the game was made, definitely leaning more towards solving. Just use connecting hallway to take the other building and the elevator up to the top floor.
Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything.
Hey, right, you can't go in there. It's off limits. Shut up, Emma. God. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office.
Happy Monday indeed, 7-9. Thanks for coming out. Let's look at our favorite boys here in the room. This must be one of the detectives mumbling something. That's it! The villain used a time machine! Very clever indeed. That would explain the alibi. The future might not be so far away after all. He's not writing a report. He's writing a novel. I gotta read this novel. It's got, like, time travel. It's got plant-based murder or whatever the fuck was going on last time. It's got everything. Must be Chief Detectives. He's staring at the screen. What? Dark case may have been fabricated. That's what I thought all along. I just never bothered to tell anyone. Now, there's a guy who cares about his work. Alright, well, let's get a move on. Chief's office. I'm just gonna go anyway. Yo, sick pipe organ, Gant, right in your office, huh? Probably a bit expensive to put that in. Worth it, though, for anyone who wanders in and just sees you menacingly playing the organ. We solved DL6 yet? Yes. Like how many fucking times somebody working with the police committed a crime in Ace Attorney? Oh, every day. Whoa, where am I?
And the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said on the door.
Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it?
Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten.
Cool, no one asked.
They used to call me Little Miss Bach.
Why? He played piano. Didn't read that. Something about genius until they tried teaching me.
I can never remember where C was.
Really? That's like the most basic key. Oh, hey, Gant. I guess you would be in your office. That makes sense. Ahem. Hmm? Oh, it's you two! Chief Gant! Put that paper he was reading in his desk. Well, yeah, it's probably private. So, Righto, have you been swimming lately? What is it with you and swimming? No, I haven't. Been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full, too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Lana's provocative statements. Provocative statements. Ah, you mean about the forged evidence. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies! See that big picture on the wall over there? Huh. Certainly do. It's a sharp sword that suit of armor guy has. That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and myself. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Let's go swimming with Gant. There's a great gif I've seen online of Edgeworth, Phoenix, and Gant. They all have their heads photoshopped on like these ridiculously buff bodies at the beach, and they're just straight flexing on each other. It's a really obscure but really funny gif. I always try and look it up every couple years because it creeps back into my brain. That's why I remember about Gant the most. You ever shut up about swimming? Something's not right with this picture. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Well, the King of Prosecutors trophy has a sword that it doesn't normally have. And again, the sword on that statue is really sharp. Yeah, that one right there behind you. Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there's matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together.
Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That case has long since been over. No need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Thank you, pipe organ. I got it. That was a threatening statement. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Alright, well, gee.
Well, looks like we aren't welcome.
What gave it away? Seems the case isn't over with yet, after all. That seems suspicious. Really? Just a twinge, maybe?
What do you mean?
Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. I mean, he did kind of just not want you in his office, you know, unsupervised, I guess. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. There's classified documents, maybe?
You mean like a clue?
There's got to be a way we can get inside the chief's office. And now, finally, go back to the criminal affairs department, because we're not at the fucking underground garage yet for this stupid lunchbox achievement. Ah! Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm, just taking a breather. My feet hurt.
From sitting for so long?
Actually, from serving everyone. Aw, Gumshoe. Come on, man, you're better than that. From serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious.
Is it because of what my sister said?
That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood.
Yikes.
So how's it going, Gummy? But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye is the guilty party here, isn't she? No offense, Emma. Regardless, a prosecutor was responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent for prosecutors kept him safe from those who didn't like him. But now, with this...
Are there really so many people who hate him?
In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young and so damn handsome. There's no better recipe I know for making enemies. Hey, Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir. It's nice to know this guy doesn't have any enemies, I see. Gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. Seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Right, sure. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might quack. Solved the case a while ago, pal. There's nothing happy about Mondays. Oh, 7-9 is just gonna be 7-9 always and forever. And we love him for that. Sometimes. Hate him at other times. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Mr. Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Doc left behind during his final attack. His final attack? You mean, when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Could have been anyone.
Me.
Didn't catch that, what? That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all.
Well, what was it?
Oh, let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. So far, Gumshoe's sticking out like a rusty nail. Nah, he just doesn't have any enemies because he's so, you know, smart about keeping his talent and young good looks hidden. Oh, I forgot. Look, it's all written in here somewhere, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress.
Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory.
Tell me about Dark's crimes. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your one-of-the-mill businessman. Don't think he was. He was a serial killer, actually. A businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car.
With his car? So, it was an accident?
An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal.
An animal.
He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Really? Then he killed again. A kid walked by just then, so he killed him too. Then when he was burying the bodies, a jogger came upon the scene and killed him as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Really? That's a fucking Benny Hill sketch, that is. Ah, shit, someone said I gotta kill that guy. Oh, no, there's a kid, gotta kill him. Bury these bodies. Oh, hell, God, I gotta kill them now, too. I gotta go to the police. This is too many murders. Whew. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Yeah. Of course, this is all conjecture. What? There wasn't a single shred of evidence. Really, in all that, there was no evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. This case is becoming weirder, alright? So, he wasn't... No one had any clues. He turned himself in, meaning everyone just automatically believed him, and it's like, oh, it had to be him. But then he ran away from his own turning himself in and killed a guy. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. Yeah, it sounds like a scene from one of those comedically horrible horror movies. Yeah, the scary movies. It was a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness, aka Emma. She's just uncomfortable in the corner. Gumshoe's like, man, oh man, that last witness sure was lucky that they weren't murdered in cold blood like that poor bastard Marshall who died protecting them. Found in Mr. Edgeworth's car, stabbed with Edgeworth. Oh, wrong murder weapon. My bad. I think we've done this already. Yeah. Had that chat already. The other knife. There you go. About this. Hey, is that... It has the tag attached to it with the label SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker.
On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker and was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car's muffler.
That's it! Now I remember what the incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me.
Well, what was it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again.
Oh, for God's sakes. Tell me about the murder weapon. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's Wright. We traced it back to the store he bought it at, plus it had his fingerprints on it. Probably just needed the fingerprints, I'll be honest. Extra step was probably thorough, but unneeded.
No one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right?
That's where his luck went out. When you take a good look at the knife, you'll see it's broken. Yep, would have missed that. Thanks for pointing it out there, Gummy. Where would we be without you? Ah. Chat, I don't know if you got this. The knife is broken. Right there on the tip. Just in the corner of my webcam there. If you look real close, to quote Gumshoe, you'll see it's broken.
You would have to take a good look to notice that.
So says the scientific investigator. To the layman, you really need to look closely. Broken knife, get a refund. Hey, yo! I was using this knife to stab a guy, and it broke in him. What kind of cheap hardware you selling? I demand a refund, buddy. Look at this. It's all busted right where the blood was. Yeah, well, anyway. Take a guess where the broken tip of the knife was found. I'm going to assume inside Marshall. Here, I thought it was just a funny shape. That's what did him in.
Where was it?
The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Huh. Yep, there it is. Did it match Dark's knife? No, Phoenix, it was just another broken knife. You bet. Down to the last fiber.
That's pretty conclusive.
Yeah, I don't think you need to forge that, baby. Punctured heart and lung. Oof. From the back? God, what a stab. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? I told you that's all I know. If it's money, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the Chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered.
The Chief's out now and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay.
Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. That seems, you know, weird. Doesn't seem very secure at all.
What? Really?
Old knife wound from DL6. Get the metal detector. There was no knife in DL6. It was just guns and earthquakes. So unless you're suggesting the earthquake came strapped and ready to fight, just no knives. I'd be charged with breach of trust. Oh, if we used your ID. I skipped a line.
Breach of trust?
Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. A follower, the poopy... What? The poopy butt Ronald McDonald. Great name. Thanks for the follow, baby. Sorry, pal. Maybe get some toilet paper. Just an idea, you know. Poopy butt Ronald McDonald. You like my name. Why wouldn't I? It's hilarious. You're welcome. Being broken must have been one tough knife, and Drake must have been equally strong as well to manage to puncture lung and heart from the back. I assume it probably snapped on his ribs. I don't plan on getting fired because of you.
How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's.
That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. But his fucking locker still has his thumbprint on it, huh? Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office, because we only know one other detective.
I wonder if there's something we can show him that would change his mind.
Probably we need, like, more evidence, right? Because he'd do it for Edgeworth, I imagine. But yeah, I don't have anything that relates to Edgeworth, so... Other than, you know, his own knife and his parking stub, but... You know. Are you doing voices? Yes, I am. One of the tags for the stream, I think, is voice acting. Well, anyway. I guess let's go, oh, I don't know. See if this underground parking lot will finally yield an achievement for me. Damn it! Alright, Edgeworth, what's going on? You back yet? Maybe show him the photo of Gant and his gang? Why? What'd that do? He's got it displayed in his office. Surely Gumshoe knows about it. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet.
There he is! It looks like he's writing something.
What are you doing here? Oh, it's crumpled on the floor there. Sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Indeed he was. Tough day in court, huh? Ugh. I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me?
Sure, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm rooting for you.
That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. Well first, let me just, Hey, look over there! Ahem. You ever seen the TV show Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald? I'm aware of it. Can't say I've seen it personally, no. Yo, Mayor McCheese, the Hamburglar, Birdie, the monstrosity that is Grimace. I wonder what he was writing before.
Come on, Mr. Wright, let's take a look.
Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there.
Just distract him, I'll check it out.
Hey, Edgeworth! Boy, it's hot in here. Let me take my shirt off. Ahem. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on, first let me see what the girl's doing crawling around at my feet. Emma, you gotta wait for the distraction. Come on, girl. You forgot Dog's... How could I forget Dog Sunday? He didn't even look.
What? Letter of...
If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says Letter of Resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, Wright. I feel as if something inside me has died.
But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault.
I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. No one else should forgive me either. Oh no, I think he's serious. Do we ever find out what Edgeworth is doing in the... Well, I mean, he comes back at the end of the second case, I think. Or second game, rather. And I think he's back for the end of the third game as well. He's in all of them at some point, I know. But, do we ever find out what the hell he's doing, like, when he's not around in the second and third games? Because I know he has his own games, the Edgeworth Investigations, but that's post the original trilogy, I think.
Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something.
Pre-Apollo Justice, however. This letter of resignation, I wonder if I can use it for anything. Well, gee, I wonder. Alright, let's have a chat with, Edgeworth here. Have you seen the Fred movies? No, because they're, like, Nickelodeon-based, and I was old for them when they came out. Did you know John Cena's in all of the Fred movies? I did know that. I do know John Cena is inexplicably Fred's father. But, yeah, the Fred movies were a bit young for me when they came out. No thanks trying to bullshit Miles' distraction, but I'm pretty sure Gumshoe can easily misfortune himself into actually falling off the building. I wouldn't be surprised. That's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility is the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuse I might have.
Mr. Edgeworth.
I take pride in my work. So tell me why? Why has it all come to this? Tell me why. Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Ahem. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial, and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves, right?
But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial.
We know, like, no other prosecutors that'll take it for you. Tomorrow's the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. Only half as long as most lists? That is odd. I don't know, maybe they didn't need that much evidence. Do you have a Discord? Everyone asks that. I really should get around to making one, since people seem to give a shit, and I assumed no one would. Ahem. We kind of find out what he was doing being away during the second and third games. We never get details of it. Very general, broad idea of what he was up to. Yeah, no, it seems like I really need to get around to making a Discord. I just don't know what the fuck I would do. Post dumb fuck memes and let people know when I'm streaming? That's about it. Might be easier if I would ever to organize like a Jackbox thing if I had a Discord, but that's the extent. Found a Ronald McDonald video. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. Part of it is also, I would loiter around your Discord. And I want you to see. You can post the link. If it's, you know, a short one, I'll react to it. But, if it's more than, like, a couple minutes, then I'm not gonna bother with it. Not sure what I would do. I don't want to run the damn thing is my problem. Like, it's just too much effort to run a Discord like that. Keep track of the moderators and post routinely. It's like, nope. I think it's short. I'll see how short. Hold on. Minute 23. When I'm... That's a weird thumbnail. I'm not gonna lie. Looking at the thumbnail, I'm not so sure about this now. But, next time I go for a slice of pizza, I might put it on just so I have an excuse to eat. I'm gonna click away so that thing's not looking at me while I'm streaming. Here was the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time.
Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time.
That picture? Something seems strange about it. I'll present it to him and ask about that prosecutor's trophy, I guess, because it is missing a accoutrement. Could you tell us what happened, again, about what... Tell us about the fucking day. The day Goodman was murdered. You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one.
Because you were awarded this?
Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on a ceremony. They can, actually. They have people accept on behalf of them. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is until I was asked to take something back.
Take something back?
This.
Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he?
Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. About sums up what people do on Discord servers, post dumbass memes and notify of streams. I have some time on my hands, I could help writing Discord servers, maybe. But if I really, like, legitimately there's enough people interested in it, I might look into it. But, I don't know, it would need to still be enough people that I'm like, okay, I really need to fucking have a Discord at this point, because everyone's asking about it. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to. That's right. Okay, well, thought there'd be more to that, really. Yo. Look at this photograph! It was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like he was taken when he received the... Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy.
Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me.
Yes?
The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours.
Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. Ooh.
A story?
Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award is based on. Okay. Tell us about it, for God's sakes. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. The first means halberd. Is this accurate? Like, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but... Like, really? And the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Is this legit? Is that the Chinese character for contradiction means halberd and shield? Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake. Very well. Ooh. Fancy. Long ago, in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. Or Shu, maybe, I don't know. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. Not what you do with a halberd, but okay. It's a piercing weapon. Second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Well, you take the shield, obviously. Wait a minute. Objection! Those claims contradict each other! Why the music? Very perceptive, but then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you've mentioned, the very description of both these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. Really? That hadn't occurred to him? And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Dunno, not familiar with kanji. Fair enough. Is it kanji in Chinese? I thought that was a Japanese dialect.
Oh, I see. So the chip shield and the broken knife symbolize...
Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words, but it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if the result is something as ugly as this.
Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today.
That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Prosecutor's trophy updated in the court record. Huh. I'll have to get on that. Why did he yell? I don't know. He started dancing too. The music kicked in like he was on a roll, like we're about to break the case wide open. I'd like to picture he started dancing here in Edgeworth's office. Edgeworth's just staring at him. Right. Yes, when it was pointed out to the merchant, it just continues on, not acknowledging it. Kanji is a broad name for hieroglyph that's Japanese and Chinese name. Ah, I see. Can I finally get this stupid lunchbox achievement for the love of God? Can you probably examine the ball of paper? Yeah, okay. Underground parking lot. Alright. Who's ready for a goddamn achievement? Hopefully. Please, for the love of all that is holy. Give me the lunchbox achievement. I'm gonna assume this is Angel Star. Excuse me. Got it. Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Miss Star! I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? I don't know when it's supposed to pop. Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. I mean... that's all mammals, though, so... Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in that trial was involved in the SL9 incident. I'm really concerned that this achievement isn't popping, guys. That's supposed to be the last one. Let's say when it pops. Game tracks your lunch boxes across all playthroughs. If you miss one, the achievement will unlock once you get one. There's no need to replay it. Okay, well. Things are made much worse with this missable achievement that require you to play through the entire episode from scratch and miss it. More of the episode is long for the sake of being long. I got the pepper fish guts, I got the jumbo, the squid wheels, the orange peel, the patooey, the crime scene, the moss surprise, the first love, the salmon swirl, the fingerprint, the fiesta, the caviar, the pickle supreme, General Tso's trilobite, crunchy goodness, and half. I got the deli and the... I think that's all of them. Uh-oh. Just have to make them show you her. Uh-oh. This isn't good. It's not popping. No, I didn't get the achievement. There would have been a big old pop noise down at the bottom. It's extremely noticeable. Due to the transferal, this can't be attributed to mere coincidence. That's gonna suck replaying that. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when it's eaten. Miss Star's hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Hey, okay, alright. Whew! I was hoping it would pop, like, once I was done with the conversation. Yeah, I got it right. The lunchbox was showed, there, but on Steam. Okay, we got the lunchbox achievement. So let's celebrate real quick with this insane McDonald's video, Poopy Butt Ronald McDonald, still a great name, gave us. I think it's not that window. It's this window? Yeah, okay, this window. There's the guide I'm using. So this is the video he wanted me to react to for reasons. Mute El Gato here. Let's watch. Oh, the Japanese. This is the weirdest Burger King ad I've ever seen. Also, that. I forget what that is. That's what. Alright, we get it. That's enough of that. Thank you very much. That's enough of that. Yeah, it's things like that that make me want to run a chat jukebox, because it means I don't need to distract myself away from playing the damn game, but you can just spam dumb fuck memes. Anyway. Yo, what's up? So yeah, one day I might do a chat jukebox while I just grind for achievements and something. It's Yokai Watch. Thank you, that's what it is. I wanted to call it, Doki Doki, but that's not right. I was like, that's not it. That's that game Mario 2 is actually. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. I would hope not! Yeah, Yokai Watch. Best known to me for being in Final Fantasy XIV. We trailed him for a year and a half. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. We get it, you fuck with food. It's really weird. Stop telling us about your kink. I'm not here to shame you, but for God's sakes, keep it to yourself. Poor old Jake Marshall, though. Must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? No! It was humid out, Phoenix. They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Sky.
My sister?
No, a different one. This game, I swear. Just consulted the internet, and contradiction is actually written in kanji for spear and shield. Ah. Well, spear, halberd. That's, you know what? Surprisingly close. I never knew that. That's a cool little detail that Japan and subsequently Capcom, I suppose, looked up and specifically wrote into the game. The best of the best were put on that SL9 case. No, you and Wannabe Cowboy were. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo.
Lana and Chief Gant.
That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean with the forging of evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it's obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our teams never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. That seems unnecessary!
But you don't have proof that anything illegal was done.
I'm proof enough of what happened.
Eh?
After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties, most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Sky transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor.
Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor.
Nothing's quite as simple as it appears.
Huh?
I should check what the next achievement I get is. It's probably for beating this damn case. Yep, it is. Okay. So I don't have to worry about anything else until the next game. Lana Sky was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? But before that, tell me about the legendary duo. Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Gant led the investigation, with Lana as second in command. They were the best.
They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they?
Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. Yeah, from my understanding, halberd is a spear-like weapon. It is. It's a polearm, specifically, is, I believe, the type of weapon. See also glaive and naginata. Or actually, is a type of spear that was quite close with that one. So they were quite close to that one. Maybe it is a halberd, and Google's just like, nah, it's a spear. A pike is also a type of polearm, it could have been. By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him though, because he's fucking terrifying. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her.
Really?
Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and always watched out for other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake.
Mr. Marshall.
When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating.
Miss Starr.
That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Thought there'd be something about her turning cold there to question her with. Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief.
Chief.
That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And then no one can stand in his way. You flip your hair a lot. What product do you use? The prosecutor's office. What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along.
But how could he control Lana?
I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. He's talking about Miss Stark. Thank you, Miss Stark, see? She's the ugly mess. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I just hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. What does that mean? I'm going to the police department to show Gumshoe the letter, so he can let me into Gant's office. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. What?
You're a DJ as well?
If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. It's clever wordplay.
Oh, that DJ.
She's talking about your bad cooking. She's no metaphor at all. She's literally saying she hopes I'm a better chef than her. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. I'm not letting you into the chief's office, period. It'd be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to look in there.
There's got to be something we can do to make the detective change his mind.
Yeah, I know. Show him this. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious! Lunch lady's mess. Thought she was a whorehouse with her having 2 billion boyfriends and all. Now, no need to insult her kink, I suppose, which is just multiple partners. As long as they're all consenting, you know. Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they pushed him this far.
Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible.
Besides, a whore implies she's doing it for money. She's just, you know, promiscuous. When I first met him, I thought he was cold as ice, too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him.
Detective.
That's it. I've made up my mind.
But...
Here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out...
They won't let you off the hook with just another lost item report.
Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. Aww. You know, as much as Arg likes to make fun of you and point out you suck at your job, you're a good soul, Gumshoe. You try your hardest, and by God, when the chips are down, you know whose side you're really on. And that's something even Arg, who hates your guts, can't take away from you. She isn't doing it for money, but she's certainly profiting off those boyfriends. I suppose that's true. After all, I'm friends with Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, detective. Thank you. Police ID allows access to PD to open detectives. I was told to examine this when I got it. Aw, it's cute. It's a picture of him. Can't read that for shit. It says police department there, and the rest is blurry. There we go.
Detective Gumshoe isn't very photogenic, is he?
He looks great. What are you talking about? Whatever you do, just don't say that to his face.
Look, his eyes are half shut.
Are they? Yeah, and his mouth is half open. No, it isn't.
Each of his shirt buttons is off a notch.
Oh, come on, Gumshoe. He's got a narrow end of his tongue on the front. Oh. I think this goes beyond being photogenic issue. Oh, poor Gumshoe. I never said I hated his guts, he just sucks at his job. See? Arg hates your guts, that's all I'm saying. But it, again, never denied that he's a good guy. Yeah, see? Clearly hates you. Had it out for you since day one. To quote the great Arg Mount there in Argamont or whatever, however it's pronounced, this game would be better without that rat bastard Gumshoe. I distinctly remember him typing that. Every 24.
Here goes, Mr. Wright.
Why do you have 2 desks in this office if you're by yourself? What?
We're in. If anyone finds us now...
Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Eek! Ah! She hit him again.
Sorry, I thought you were a ghost.
I didn't even know you could swap a ghost. Ah! Detective Gumshoe! What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking, I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, what was the point of giving us your ID card? Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable in the pocket. Hey, don't do that to my card! Anyway. I hardly ever get a chance to come in here. So I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now.
You really do want to get fired, don't you?
Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. Whoops, sorry. Examine. Nah, PD would be better off without it. But not the game. He sure brings the funny gusto to the game. That's a way of putting it, I guess. Yo, about this suit of armor with the suspiciously sharp sword. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and weapons. Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ and now this armor. You know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room?
What? You mean we're paying for it? You don't pay taxes. That's it, I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes.
You don't have any taxes to pay. Shh, be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there.
Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out.
Cut it out, you guys don't know how scary that guy can be. I think we do. He can be kind of intimidating. This is safe, isn't it? Brilliant observation. Safe. That word is white with intrigue. Okay, if you say so.
Looks like a code's need to be entered in this panel to open it.
Well, I don't fucking know. When was the Joe Dart killing? The 7-digit... Oh, wait, hold on. I think I just might know what it is. Let's look around the office first before I enter 7 sevens. Ahem, excuse me.
7-digit number, didn't we see one of those somewhere?
How about we try entering my birth date? Surely that would only be 6 numbers then, at most. If it's like 11, 11, 90 or whatever, however old you would be at this time. That's still only, you know, 6 digits. Why is there a second desk here, if it's in the office by himself?
Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk.
Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two! Chief Gant. Put that paper he was reading in his desk very quick. Not to rain on the parade, but from where did she think that funding of police came from? Some divine bozo's ass? Well, I mean, I guess she thought the taxes were going to, like, you know, handcuffs and police uniforms, not a suit of armor and a pipe organ for the chief. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though.
Hey, look at the case name.
Huh? SL9 incident. I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence lists. Normally twice as long. That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. The list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here?
I knew it. The chief must be hiding something about that case.
It would appear so. Evidence list added to the court record. Was ripped in half, so this part is all I've got. Huh. Is it the same half, or, like, is it a different half? Shut up, you! Both of you be quiet. Not you, Oddname, you're cool. Mayonnaise on an escalator. It's going upstairs, so see you later. Okay, you know what? At least I understand what 7-9 and Musket Meerkat are fucking trolling me about. Whatever the hell you're on about, I got no idea.
Look the size of the desk.
We found this in the drawer. A list of evidence from the SL9 incident.
Mr. Edgeworth has the other half.
Ah, so it is a separate half. What would this list be doing here? We better look around a little more into this list. Pipe organ. A chief's organ shows. Dick joke. It's official. Logic left the chat. Occasionally. I hear him playing his organ. That's on the second floor. This is the 15th of an entirely different building. When Detective screws up, Chief calls him to his office and makes him listen to the organ for hours. We have fun here. Organ.
What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul.
After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except the winging in their ears. Alright, the joke kind of fell apart then. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally.
But aren't the chief's ears also affected?
He never listens to anyone anyway. Yep, solid. That's besides the point. I think that was fair. Never listens to anyone anyway. Fair enough.
This was taken on the day 2 years ago.
The day Joe Jark ran out of questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. Then went along with Chief Gant to question Doc. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think. Cold, Phoenix, cold. This was on his desk. It sure is tidy. Why is it still here?
Lana always was a meticulous cleaner.
There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff of legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? Good question, good question. These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame left on the shelf.
Hey! This is when Lana and I went to that theme park.
Oh, left that behind, huh? Let's just look out the window. Look at that giant window. Makes you want to quash through it and jump outside. We're on the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since making Detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that. Ah, fair enough. The cool action shot.
Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams.
And none of them realized. As long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired.
Don't say that.
God, Phoenix, so insensitive. Alright, anything else to look at? Well, there's this window.
You can see pretty far from 15 stories up. If you were to drop that suit of armor from here...
That's a Hitman level at that point. At first, the chief wanted to use stained glass for this window. He's not in a church! He knows that, right?
Really? Why didn't he?
They say he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. That makes sense, actually. Oh. Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. This is the shattered pottery. Weird centerpiece. Bill H is brave with this one, but the prosecutor's trophy story halberd might have been mistranslated. As the halberd came into being in the 14th or 15th century, according to research, Edwards said the story was from an ancient one. Might have been a spear and not a halberd. Yeah, well, translator's error, I suppose. Still, close to accurate with that story. This is a safe. Workers right with intrigue. Alright, let's enter the code. A 7-digit number. Yeah, let's input it. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to twy my birth date? It's... We'll never know Gumshoe's actual birthday. I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. Also, it's a 7-digit number, so... Chief of Police, ladies and gentlemen. Bingo.
What number did you enter?
Probably better that you don't know. Whose birthday was it, pal? 777777777. Final ID card number on the record. What? Number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean... 777777777? That ID number? I think you're 1-7 shy. This... God damn it. Fuck this game. That's a dumb joke, but it gets me every time. This can only mean one thing, the Chief Gant's ID number. I mean, I kind of figured that out immediately. Who the hell else is in this case, and who would have that number, really, except Gant? Ahem.
Say, anyone care to look inside?
Why don't they just say 7 sevens? Because that's not as funny. Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away?
Look, it's
Oh, it's a bit of that pot. A shard from a broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before?
There's something else in here, too.
It's a scrap of leather. What's this? Looks like a piece of leather cloth. This is a handprint.
This is a handprint, isn't it?
Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? Yes, Gumshoe. That's what I think.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, it was just a thought.
Is that it? That's all that was in this safe?
Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with the case, well, the pot is clearly from that broken shard pile we put back together with glue. I'm afraid I can't let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great, now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident?
Come on, there's gotta be something you can show the detective.
Well, alright, gee. Gonna fucking spell it out for me. Have a look at that. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put that back together. Those were the days. How was this morning? Or yesterday. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. It was within the last 24 hours.
Was this jar a piece of evidence from that case?
That's right. One of the shards of the SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one that was in the safe?
Yeah, that one. The one that was in the safe.
About my guess earlier of you finishing this case, the way things are going, unless you do a bit longer stream, we might not finish today. Oh dear. Now you mention it, it's winging lots of bells. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, assemble them. Go for it. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a Wookiee can do.
Mr. Wright, here's some glue.
I can piece this together again. It'll prove Chief Gant knowingly withheld evidence. Here goes. Gee, where could it go? Oh, shit. There we go. I mean, really. What was the point of making me do that? There! Fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident.
But...
Hey guys, get a load of this! What is it? This piece you just attached. It's different from the others. How so? Well, I mean, it has the blood on it, but... Yeah. It's all speckled in blood.
There's a reddish line on it.
Reddish line? That's blood. Hope it's not Chris's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? Unstable jar updated in the court record. Okay. As far as that scrap of leather, I'm fine if if I'm fine, I won't be able to give you any information. So that's why I have to get it all out of my system now. Understand?
Don't be so negative, Detective. We don't want you to share your information, though. We do want you to share your information, though.
Oh, who am I fooling? You never had anything useful to share to begin with. Arg.
Got to stay positive.
Yeah, you don't think the scrap of leather might be from his coat, do you? Old Marshall. He seems like the kind of guy who wears road leathers. Marshall. Data. Nope, nothing about that there. Scrap of leather. How can I prove... Nope, that's not it. How can I prove a scrap of leather is randomly, connected to this crime? Goodman's autopsy, Blue Badger... Huh. What's this list say, anyway? Well, I'd like to read it, thank you. Ugh, really? What the fuck? What is this? Looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here.
What is it? Did you find something?
I can't make it out. I'd better keep quiet about it for now. Huh? Oh, it's nothing.
Why are your eyes moving about like that, Mr. Wright?
I better not forget about this picture. The fuck is that doing there? God, I'm glad I went to look at this closer. I really just wanted to see what was on the damn list. Can I check? No? Okay, that's all I can get for checking it. Don't do that thing, don't thing that you do prove it right now might be wrong, though. What? Don't think that you do prove it right now. Yep. That's a sentence, Arg. Don't think that thing you do proves it right now might be wrong now. Oh. Well, then what do I talk to? Oh, yeah, I can talk to him. Desk on the other side of the room. Was that your sister's?
Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana on that day 2 years ago.
And I'm using it now? No, sir. This is the entirety of Chief Gant's office. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see.
Ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk.
No one except Chief Gant. And the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Logic is still MIA. Quite, yes. Well, more likely spelling skills. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes? I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Yeah, pretty much. Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah. You wouldn't be... No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on! Not so fast, buddy. What? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to stop bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go with that. Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think... Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you?
What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him?
I think he's a terrifying human being. Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him, other than clearly father? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings yet. There you go, ignoring me again. Oh, shit. The autopsy report. Neomar, stab wound piercing heart of lung. Assessment, died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. Weapon was found in wound was missing. Weapon found in wound was missing hip. Well, that's a shame. It's Joe Dark. I mean... Am I good to go, or... I can check the jar again. Do I want to, like, lumen all this shit?
Hey, look here. It's hard to make out, but there's a dark red stain here.
Looks like blood.
This is the piece the chief had is different, though. The blood stains on the other pieces are just spots. This one's a line.
That is odd. That's it, apparently. Is there some other... That's still hollow in the bottom.
Huh? This thing doesn't have a bottom.
That's weird. I wonder which side it's up. There yet. What's the purpose of the bottomless jar? Yeah, had that conversation. As far as I know, I can't just lumen all that shit. I mean, I'd like to. Oh, can I lumen all? Hold on, hold on. Now I think about it. What's to stop me from, seeing if there's blood? Oh, really hoped there'd be blood on the tip of that spear. Oh! The bottom of the jar just reminded me of the worst part of this case, if you say so. Examine the room some more.
Whoa! This area must have been covered in blood. Is this from that incident? It must be. When Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. 2 years have passed, and this kind of reaction is dumb.
So a murder really did take place here. Well, I'll be damned. Anything else? The picture? No. Too easy, I guess. Yeah, right. Well, suppose I'll examine, that then. No clues here. There was the blood right there, you fucking son of a... Gah. Do I have to keep... I'd like to investigate that. Nick, old boy. Really hoping it would show up on that. The old, telltale blue luminol stain, you know? No dice! There's nothing else in here that it could be. I thought, like, once we, you know, we could examine that now that we know that there's blood there. Can I talk to Gum? No, I can't talk to Gumshoe about that. Did I get the blood stain as evidence? No. Something I'm missing. The floor?
This mark looks like some kind of flower.
What is? It's designed after the insignia on the prosecutor's badge. Prosecutor's badge? Yeah, like the one hanging from your collar. What? They have badges too? The design's supposed to portray the severity of the punishment system.
Now you mention it, it does look all pointy and kind of painful.
Mr. Edgeworth never wears a badge. That's because he's a sharp dresser. A badge like that wouldn't go too well with his outfit.
So sharp dressers don't need to wear badges.
I guess everyone just kinda lets it slide. I don't see how that's supposed to signify severe punishment. Bah. Really thought they'd let me look at that once I, found the luminol. Huh. Yeah, well, anything else? No, safe's good. Window. Can I show Gumshoe the autopsy report? Maybe that, like, jogs his memory on something? No, just... There you go. I'm fired. No, okay. Go for the safe again. It's got the yellow check on it, so... Case files? I've been studying those files. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth's presentation. To think people are accusing him of injustice. I, for one, ain't buying it, pal.
Looking into the case for Mr. Edgeworth?
Yeah. It was a pretty big deal while it was going on, you know? After all, a serial killer was on the loose. Delana was pretty clear in her confession. She forged evidence in order to prove Joe Dark guilty. Well, nothing there. It's really not this picture, huh? I mean, it's on the wall over there. That's not gonna jog your memory, or... Okay. Can I check it? No, it won't let me examine it further. Can't look at the back of that. Humdy humdy hum. Alright, guide, what am I missing? God, there's just so much of this fucking case left. Okay. Chief's office. Examine the safe, number, safe, unstable jar, assemble fragments, place the final jar, update in court record. Oh! Right, okay. Sure, why not? I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense, but... Hey, you've got a handprint with leather on it. How'd you like some fingerprints? Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is. You want to take some fingerprints.
That's a great idea, Detective.
Alright, go to town. Sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking your hand out like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints.
It's not your fingerprints we want to take.
Huh? Come on, this isn't time for jokes. Talking about the cloth you found in the safe. Oh! I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, White. Sheesh! Where's your sense of humor? Sheesh!
Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check this for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then, once they've been absorbed in the prints, blow the rest away.
What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Oh, shit. Any there? There's something here. Yeah, we got a partial. I gave it my best shot.
Kind of result is good for matching prints, but it doesn't
look like we had a clear result. Let's try a different finger. Okay. How about the ring? I'm feeling lucky with ring finger. No. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, try a little more. Give my best. Clear results. Pinky? Good old pinkster? The one used for drinking tea, all in that fancy-like manner? Nope, that's not good enough. Okay, my favorite finger, the thumb. I gave my best shot. It's gotta be the middle one, huh? Alright, well, let's just flip everyone off and check the middle finger. Okay. Yep. Shockingly. Way more clear than everything else. I wonder if it was just always going to be the last one I checked. There we go. Well, it's not Gantz. It's not stars. Ooh. That's, Huh. That's not good. I don't know why the chief would have a leather scrap of cloth with her handprint on it. But hoo boy! They didn't work at a chemical plant. No, the 16-year-old girl did not work at a chemical plant. 7-9. No, how can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing on here?
Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they?
Mine. Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match.
Oh, that's too bad. How would they be Dark's prints?
Psst. Hey, you. Over here. Other side of the womb. What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe?
Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now.
Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Piece of cloth. Well, was I any help? Of course! Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Uh-oh. I'm gonna finish this pizza because it might be my last meal here. Because I have a sneaking suspicion on who that might be. Old question marks there. Excuse me. Now, that's not very kind of you, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Eek! Chief Ben! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain... Aw, Gumshoe. You poor bastard. Just then I thought of a certain detective. You mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir. Drop off. Uh-oh. Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir, I just want to take the L on this one, Gumshoe. Now get out. Yes, sir. We'll be on our way out too, then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet.
Me, sir?
I'd like a word with you.
But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet.
You with the spiky hair, you're free to go.
Mr. Wright!
Dude, don't leave the child. What are you doing, Nick? What the hell was that? Look, pal, if I've told you once, I told you 1,000 times. A chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Gant was hiding in his office, and just left Emma alone with him, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why is she kept eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, are you listening to me? I'm gonna try and smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. Nick goes home, doesn't lose a wink of sleep. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Fucking hell, man. Just ditched her. Well, see ya, Emma. Gant doesn't want my ass on a coat hanger, so I'm out of here. Lana, woo! Sorry about your dead sister. I mean, so probably haven't heard yet, huh? I see. So Chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day of court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple days is absolutely nothing! Not a single useful thing! Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is lurking behind your words. A bitch! Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you've convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed, I think is the term he used. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. What do you mean, no incriminating evidence? They have a witness with a photo of her standing over a corpse wielding a knife. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you said. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No. I think afraid of is more like it. Yep, no evidence. Boy, when you put it that way, 7-9, truly there was no evidence. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question you may have persuaded you into silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom might I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightened of? What is this person's name? Mike Meekins! The person who you fear is this! To be honest, there's someone a bit scarier than Mike Meekins? Who? Why, you, of course. Me? Yes. You seriously believe what you're saying, don't you? Now, that's scary. You seem to have makings of a criminal in you. What with your fallacious accusations? Care to spend tonight in the cell next to mine? Is that a proposition? If you ask me, you're the scary one. Alright, we'll try it again. It's Chief Gant, obviously. Lennox is thick-headed, alright. His brain is as thick and as sharp as a bowling ball. Hey, bowling balls are pretty thick. To be fair. Well, Miss Sky? Right, it occurs to me having a thick head is not a good thing. Mr. Wright, you're addressing the Chief Prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try and hide his crimes? His crimes. Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could possibly have tampered with evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command in the investigation. Yes, but also one other, Damon Gant. If I drop something. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Oh, for God's sakes. I just found this in a safe in the Chief's office. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It is as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. Bitch, you're going to jail anyway. You might as well. This is basically a Cyclops segment, but without the Magatama. Oh, yeah, that. Forgot about that little thing. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details. I can say I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body! You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car! In my head, that's exactly how he delivered it. Like he was telling a joke. Like he met an old buddy at the pub and was reminded of a raunchy bit of humor. Just walked up to her. I need you to dispose of a body! Ha ha! Just as I suspected. Hey, guard, back in the background there. You want to maybe listen up, testify to this tomorrow? No? Cool, thanks. Despite what everyone believes, you're not the one who murdered Detective Goodman, correct? I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered the murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. The serial killer, Joe Dark's knife. I just couldn't leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. Why? That seems so unnecessary. That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though there was already a dead man, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. It's a hell of a shake. And that's the reason for the bandage on your right. No, Phoenix. It was humid. She bandaged up her hand because it was sensitive to the weather. Yes, it seems I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then... she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Star, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that, by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have had a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it in Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister to tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, gonna call that guard to the stand tomorrow's court and verify she said all this. Yes, please. Security camera right there in the top left. Your Honor! You fucking look! Very compelling. I find Larry Butts guilty of murder. What? First thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? He sucks. Thank you, Gabe. I know who he is. The lead investigator for SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted the fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh! You mean, not wanting Case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana! You've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and as an investigator. Haha, thanks! Wait, no. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. They're not kidding. Jesus Christ, what a long case. How much is left, according to the guide? Final day, trial former. Jesus, I have a witness testimony, another witness testimony, another witness testimony, a break there, another testimony, another break, another testimony, and another testimony. I might be able to do this in an hour. Alright, I'd like to finish this today. My options are to break here and, like, have another short stream on Thursday, or to just wrap this up today if I go quickly enough. Alright, let's hurry. This is defendant's lobby, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Alana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you'll already figured it out. Who's the owner of the 777... that is? Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Excuse me. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, let's all not... Jesus, I gotta blow my nose. Doing that Emma voice. God, it stuffs me up so bad. Like, any other voice would have been smarter. I insisted for that fucking nerd-liker voice that makes me plug my nose. You can probably hear it in my... God damn. Oh dear. Ah, that's better. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you had to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and this is the only way we'll ever know the truth, is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid, today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? We just go into the same door? Same way, huh? That's a bit awkward. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Robber. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution's ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant? Holy shit, he can just phase into existence! This guy's too strong. We can't take him down. Good morning, folks! How's everyone doing? Hey, have you been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough in my work as it is. That's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like for you to put an immediate end to this trial. Ah! I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! What are you doing? You're blowing it! Objection! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Call the guard! Request the security footage! Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-represent. The request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further room to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears time for the verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant, Edgeworth. Objection! Yeah! Edgy! One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth! The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Granting another fabrication to cover up your past mistake. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal? Not everyone operates as you do, were they? I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right of self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. Oh, got her! The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. Sure do love that speech he just gave. Court shall grant the prosecution's request. If that's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy. You'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Your Honor, he literally just openly threatened the prosecutor. You want to, like, do something about that? Miss Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Alright, Emma, let's hurry this up. I got places to be. Now then, witness state your name and occupation. Yeah. Emma Skye. My nose is suddenly unclogged. My occupation is Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though, so thanks for bringing it up again. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave it fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip yesterday has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind all this. Okay, 2 years ago. I might not press every statement. I might just, present the ones that are obvious. I was waiting for my sister in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised his knife and he stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. Wait, what? It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does the testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. Alright, well, we know what happened here. Or we know the problem here. He was stabbed in the back, not the chest. Like I said, for time's sake, I'm probably just gonna, skip around a bit here. Heart and lung. Oh. Well, in the picture, it was clearly the back, though, or the past that we saw. Let me press that, then, I guess. That must have been a real shock. That's not a pun. I said it like it was, but it's not. Trust me. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it so clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dog was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark and I was thrown aside, and the two began wrestling each other. I said, hell yeah! And there was a drop kick. It was pretty insane. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. Okay, so some other statements. I forget what I saw. Tell us more about that. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Objection! Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. Then suddenly, that sudden flash left an unforgettable scene on my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Hear more. So you spoke with Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes, that's what's so scary about the trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned a picture before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Ask about this picture. For time saving, maybe you should just pull up a guide. I definitely haven't done that already. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene, but it seems to have been lost. Well, fuck you, I found it. Kind of by accident, but I found it. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist denying its existence? What? I'm not the bad guy. What are you talking about? All I'm saying is that the prosecutor in that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! This is the evidence list of the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Yes, let's see. Ah! What's this? All the words are upside down now! These people! They're standing on the wall! Yes, what is that? The other way, Your Honor. Oh, I see. They're standing on the ceiling!
That's it! That's the picture I drew!
Would not put it past the judge. Indeed! Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. Oh. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half the evidence in the case ever reached you. What? What? Order, order! But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room.
Ah, fair enough. Stupid Goodman.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means...
Your Honor! Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, there might be more to the drawing on the back of the list. What? Oh, yes. Suppose I've never actually turned this list over here. Let's just say... Whoa! Ahem. That's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. That's what happened. God damn it. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. Fuck off! Fuck off! God damn it. I hate that thing. Son of a bitch. That thing! That thing that was dancing in the evidence room! Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Right. Very well. Witness, will you please testify about the picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Emma's picture!
Picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was bright, so all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
Do you think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind? Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. That's because you don't have a guide. I mean, your brain. This clearly shows Joe Dock about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. I mean, it's clearly not clear. They don't have defining features. Defense may now begin its cross-examination. So, apparently, what I'm guessing here, going by the guide, and I'll be honest, never would have gotten this, ever, in a million years. Never would I have gotten this. I meant to present the autopsy report here, because I'm guessing he's not wielding a knife in this, he's wielding a rod, and it's like the broken tip of the knife seems to be what's important. But it's clearly a flat rod, something I would have just assumed a child drew to represent a knife. It was literally a flash of lightning. I don't think, you know, she's the greatest artist in the world, clearly. Oh, shit. Yeah, present Neil Marshall's autopsy.
Objection!
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew fucking sucks.
What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out the contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
It's the knife. Sort of. Kinda. Contradiction, of course, lies here! Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see the tip is Is that what I'm seeing? Sure.
Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
That's a stretch. That's a big old fucking stretch.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? The tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
If it was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken!
Ah! What's the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there!
That's right! But what does this mean?
Excuse me. The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation, the only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time. But she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is give love a chance. Is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Arg! That would be Arg's name, you know, if there was the letter R there.
Order, order! Are you saying investigation really was corrupted?
Yeah, Your Honor. Please allow me once again to go over the events. I've heard of DL6. Shut up. Go over the events that took place the day of the murder. First, DL6 happened. Then, the police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. Again, he did it. During the questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Could there have been one? There is another one.
Yep.
If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Take that. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Coachella. Right here in this picture. This is a picture of the awards ceremony.
Ah! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon.
Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. I assumed that would be like part of the statue and not like detachable, though.
That's a broken knife.
As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Order, order, order.
Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given a broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out the knife. Being prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in the dangerous situation. But that can't be! Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon. The murder weapon, the victim, would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean... the man raising the knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! Oh.
Oh! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Wait! I remember now. I remember everything.
Witness?
Mr. Edgeworth,
What is it?
could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list? The one with the picture scribbled on the back.
Blue Badger.
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it.
What? You drew that?
That's right. I can sue the police for copyright infringement.
Ah, the music.
The list wasn't torn in half the time I drew the picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. Must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Here comes the most annoying part of the whole case.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Sky?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. First the knife mix-up, and now the Blue Badger. This should be interesting. And yes, I am following a guide.
When I saw the man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. Then I think I knocked the man away with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
The Blue Badger's the guilty party.
This certainly is most unusual.
Try impossible! A chief of detectives haven't designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist until 2 years ago. Or exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now begin its...
Stop! Please, don't pursue this any further.
Lana, what's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky, we've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Emma's recollection. Alright, I present right here this fucking thing. Yep. Because if you rotate it just right, kind of looks like the Badger. A wee bit. You know, just a hair, a scotch. Anyway. The mysterious Blue Badger was, in fact, this.
But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar.
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger.
Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Our viewpoint?
I've got to show. Correct angle look like this. God, it's on top, isn't it? Well, I mean, I guess it could be that, right? No, it's gotta be... Oh, there it is. There we go. Nope, what the fuck? How do I... Is it like that? It's not the most, finessable with the, you know... oh, there we go. Okay, I can do that. So, could do that. Could be like that. I need the bit in the middle, though. Yeah, like that. This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like the Badger. What the... I'm gonna remind you... Oh, for God's sakes. Are you really gonna give me a strike for that? No, okay. maybe like that? Or do I rotate it more like this? And then have it be like... maybe that? It kind of looks right, yeah? Oh wait, no, maybe it's more like... maybe it's more like that? That could be right. Yeah, that kind of looks right. Okay, no, it's not. Aim position right is the most annoying part of the case. Alright, let's just click on the link that says rotate the jar so it looks like this. Got it! This is a bit obnoxious. The fact that I have to listen to this music while I do it is also super obnoxious. Just pointing that out. There. That's gotta be it. Fuck off! What do you mean? How is that not right? I'm following a fucking guide. Like so, maybe? Thank you. Christ alive. That's obnoxious as hell. Hey, poopy butt Ronald McDonald, how's it going? You missed us watching the video. What that? Oh, that's a jar that looks like a giant blue badger. Can't you tell? Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar resembles the blue badger! See? You missed it. We saw the video. No! It can't be!
Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this.
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What the hell is wrong with you? Basically. What's your point? If you know the correct position, getting the dumbass jar in the right spot is a pain in the ass. What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed, very well then. Please tell us what's different now that we know the witness saw the jar. The location. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar shown in the picture is taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes! And it's those two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. And if there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. Have you ever seen the Phoenix Wright anime? I've seen parts of it. The only logical conclusion is there was a reason.
Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright?
I finally figured it out. This is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding her knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have been the impact the man made when he knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man knocked into the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. Uh-oh. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility?
Of course the perpetrator would have no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually prosecutor Neil Marshall. Wow, he is hung up. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Thud. Sound effects. I never imagined a testimony would lead to this.
So it was the witness who took the victim's life. I find her guilty of murder. Case dismissed. Let's all go home now. Nanny Skye, you're free. Wait. Feel like I've forgotten something. And then proved with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
Rabble. That DL6. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try and pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Richard, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me. Do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Not again. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Humph. Touche, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. Ahem. You mean there's another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean the possibility the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. Edgeworth brought it up! Why am I the one who has to prove it? A message from the deceased? Brilliant idea, Mr. Edgeworth! Well, Mr. Wright, go ahead and prove it. Otherwise, you'll be found guilty of murder. Does such a message exist?
I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name is in the evidence. The message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek, the truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased.
It's this, right? The blood on it? There's a man left by the seas!
The blue badger from before!
Oh, was he just going to speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everybody's forgetting this is just a jar. A message was left here on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on the jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood.
So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used his few precious moments of life to leave behind a message. That thing no one has ever done, ever. One that someone apparently wiped away, but blood must have seeped onto the jar where the lines changed direction. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these dots. Victim's message will become apparent. No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make the letter. There's only one thing the victim could have written, given the circumstance. His murderer's name. No, clearly it says Emma, rather unfortunately. Oh wait, no, that's wrong one. Okay. Sorry, Emma. Can't make it spell Gant to save my life. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove his client's innocent. That's why I've been thinking about saving Lana all along. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Yep, that happens.
Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, she is a cold-blooded killer and must pay the penalty. Death immediately. Throw in that Larry Butts fellow while you're at it.
Was Emma Skye. Not a single robbo was heard that day. God damn it. See, Worthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dock was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Argh. Yes, Worthy. And because of you, an innocent... I don't know if he was innocent. Let's back it up there, Gant. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. It kind of is. I think it's a little important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice, aren't we? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. Yeah, I did not like the character Emma Skye anyways. Well, what's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like that when it's his fault?
Order! Order! Order!
Again, I don't think he was innocent. Gavels pounding fell on deaf ears, unable to settle the crowd. Judge declared a recess. Where trial's headed, no one knows next. Oh my god. Fortunately, this next bit looks short. Ish. And then there's a third part to this goddamn trial. There's the trial ladder and the trial ladder part 2. Jesus Christ, this trial. So long. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Edgeworth's defense, he was hoodwinked into using bogus evidence, not like he intentionally used it to send a man to the gallows. It's true.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Clearly are, as always. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around while I'm doing it. On top of that, you call me here. I've seen happy people at funerals.
I take it Landis having you run errands again?
Let me tell you, pal, it's the last time. Here.
What is that duck with the fucking pipe? I love it. That's the finest duck in the land. Fire Gumshoe, bring me this duck. The only detective I trust from now on is Sir Quacksworth and his school of evidence law. Interesting. It is, isn't it?
The break in today's trial.
Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. Must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence will be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? Seems so.
Could at least study some evidence law. Really?
God, you fucking suck, Wright.
Chief Prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need to use this book.
I guess I'll need to give a thorough read. Securely slipped into pocket.
Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left is the prosecutor's sentence.
That's where you're wrong, Detective.
Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in the prosecutor's seat, despite all the allegations being thrown at me?
How was your day? It was alright.
Raced home from work to do this, only to be caught in a phone call with my mother. The real trial today hasn't begun yet. What else is there left to do? Your credibility's all been ruined with this forged evidence you're unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more. You gotta be kidding, pal.
You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Good. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body, you know, as we all do. That means the real killer is still out there.
What?
And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Alright.
Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions.
Thank you for the news, Your Honor.
Yes, well... normally this is where the prosecution calls for a witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have,
struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses?
I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking, and, well, I'm very gullible.
Should I ask a question like a Q&A? You're free to if you want. I'm an open book. Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution.
A solution?
That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses.
What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing to do.
Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with witnesses.
Very well, Mr. Wright. What do you say?
Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal.
Then it's settled.
Tell me a joke. Shit. A joke. I'm always on the, what's my favorite color? I like red and white, specifically. God, a joke. If you cremate it after you die, you can put it into an hourglass and continue to participate in family game night. That's, fuck. Thanks for the meme, Mom. That's not a good joke. Hold on. Yours is green. Ah, good stuff. I thought it was pink for Clefairy. I need to look up bad jokes, because whenever I'm put on the spot, I'm always like, oh, fuck, what's a joke? Why does a baby compute... What? That's shit. How does a penguin build its house? It glues it together. You're welcome to. How? It glues it together. It glues it together.
Then it's settled. The defense may call forth its next witness.
Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, the trial's as good as over. The defense calls... Mike Meekins! It appears I've overestimated you, Mr. Wright. For a moment, I actually thought you knew what you were doing.
Mr. Wright, this court has long since tired of your questionable antics.
Oh, fine. Be that way. What did the clown say to the blind guy? I don't know. What did the clown say to the blind guy? There's another even more suspicious person. The defense calls Damon Gant. Damon Gant to the stand.
Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything?
Open your eyes. It's an anti-joke. I didn't build my house like that. That's, you know what? That's fair, Kanochi Penguin. You would be a first case scenario. The joke. It's an anti-joke. I like that joke. That's like, what's green and kills people if it falls out of trees? A pool table! It's like, you're not wrong, but the whole joke is you subverted my expectations of there to be a joke.
As a defense's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand.
Yeah. What up, you terrifying son of a bitch?
Ahem. Witness, state your occupation.
And name?
What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir? Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation! So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police.
What did the Lego guy say to the Lego criminal? I don't know. What did he say? Well, you do not drop the brake. What? What? That didn't make any sense. That reminds me of an episode of Family Feud. Question, name something that kills a lively party. Participant answer, a gun.
I mean, it would. Actually, it would probably make the party a lot more exciting, now that I think about it. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear you testimony. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face?
First, let's clear up this SL9 incident.
Oh, you mean the time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already.
There are still some things unaccounted for.
Oh, like what?
Like the role you played in all of this.
Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal?
Weapons?
Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. That seems like an oversight. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you.
DL6! You know, do not drop the soup.
Nope. Soap. You mean soap?
Why soup? What? Surely it would be brick then, not break. Yeah. You wrote break, not brick.
I mean, that was almost a joke if you'd spelled it right. Either time there. I got the name wrong. Clearly! Very well. Witness name Al begin his testimony.
I love a good joke, don't get me wrong, but you gotta tell it right, man. Yo, which knight invented King Arthur's round table? Circumference. It's funny because it's got the word come in it.
As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him at that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. The power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with this forgery. Is that when Doc was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. Bleh. When Emma sent Neil flying, seems Doc bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut.
If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, I'd better hit him hard and fast. It's true. Press Gant on rearranging crime scene.
Oh, wait, shit. Wrong one.
Rearranged crime scene. There we go. Wait, what? Press Gant on... As you can see, I have nothing to do. Oh, right. Shit, my bad.
Fuck you, what's this about the jar?
You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that's a claim you cannot back up.
Explain yourself.
Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example.
That's the blue badger you showed us earlier.
A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk.
It was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you played a part in an illegal investigation.
Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Ho! Here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admitted then that you were involved in the forgery?
Who, me?
Or do you mean you?
Me? Why would I have anything to do with that?
Well,
You were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence.
oh yeah, good point.
Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too.
Isn't that right, Righto?
However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation.
Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment.
What?
If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Oh no.
Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see, what was it now? A jaw fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Doc was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I participate in the forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Wouldn't be surprised if Gumshoe ended up paying to be allowed to work. Maybe. He would, too, if it meant working with Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor. When investigating crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. I'll fucking kill you. I'll say it in court. What are they gonna do?
Oh.
Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. All right, Dudgy, in return, though. I know. That place, right?
Yo. They're gonna fuck.
Huh? What are these guys, telepathic?
I know. Alright, so I press this one. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you could have reaped from all this.
Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit?
That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police.
Oh.
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That itself is sufficient motive.
Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you really think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean?
Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little.
Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway.
Ah! Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at.
So that means there's only one possible motive for you to commit forgery. You didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else.
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. Therefore, it's out in the open now. Gee, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. Everyone else does. Why not double dip there?
I need to press I won't be anyone's accomplice. There's nothing for me. Nothing in it for you.
Sorry, the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again.
You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone.
Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised.
You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though.
Oh, that's a good one, Worthy.
If there had been something in it for him, given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out?
Yeah,
he would have. The slimy fuck. True, you might not have helped out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief. as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. You're damn right, Your Honor. That's not what I mean. Very well, then. Who is the person you believe Chief Gant may have helped out forge evidence?
Lana Sky. Mike Meekin! Done that bit.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky, the defendant.
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Sky fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her out more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would have also had a reason to help Lana if she asked him. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Sky was appointed Chief Prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all this?
He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets?
The fucking break in the case.
Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief! You assisted Lana Sky in forging evidence! Your motive to appoint her Chief Prosecutor so you can control her! Righto, my boy. You have quite the imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana. She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof, all this amounts to is nothing more than mere conjecture.
Unless that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course I'm talking about... the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Oh no. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement!
What?
Rubber. Get that guard in here now!
Order.
Order, says order.
Mr. Wright, you can't be serious!
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency, to accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder!
That's...
Impossible!
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edwards said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. You know, for claiming innocence, Gant sure likes threatening people out in the open. He really does.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of law, is involved in this murder?
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. All right, then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us the evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
It's the ID card report.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID card on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. Eh?
What? How do you know that?
A safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card on that list. Chief Gant! You went to... Ooh, look at him squirm. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime!
Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I would demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, the court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant. I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Chief Goodman. What do you mean? The trial's purpose to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. The trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met with the victim on the day of the crime, past 3-hour mark. During his testimony, Chloe stated, dude, look 4 or 5 times. Doesn't get any more suspicious than that. Yeah. Then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask for evidence. Show proof the victim met with Chief Gant on the day of the crime. It's the lost item report. Really glad I'm just following a guide at this point. Ted Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filed out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you're in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. If he filed it, how do I know, you ask? Because he needs to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to. Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form from you, Chief Gant, or to you. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered that room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Yes, exactly. But wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him into the evidence room. He could have just lent him his card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something like... At this point, you might as well push through with the trial, given how much is left. Yeah, I should finish it. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet, you showed us your ID card earlier. If you'd really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Whoa! 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 That's a freak out, that is. Chief Gant, you didn't! The murderer was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit a murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting Mr. Wright. Victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone was aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. As usual, Phoenix left out of the loop. Because why wouldn't he be? Sorry, I was readying the wheel for when I inevitably have to spin it. To no one work later. 11037. Yep, of course. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all of the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief remove the body? Mr. Wright, show us the evidence. It's a screwdriver, right? Yeah. Even I figured that one out before I checked the guide. He gave it to Edgeworth and said, take this, and it was already in the trunk of his car. That body. Good old Leon. This is how I moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with the case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted me to keep this here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean I. The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car!
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car?
Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport this evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation: to transport the body of your accomplice. To Miss Lanasky!
Order! Order! What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took to the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk and taken away. It was the exact opposite! It's for the body being taken out of the trunk.
Chief Gant, please say something.
I believe your time's up.
My time's up.
Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it for the Early Bird Special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? That's not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by right now. Well, you think I had land to dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. The court will not tolerate any accusation against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor?
Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of the body?
Do you have any concrete proof? Other than, like, all of it, according to God, I have no proof yet. It's no use showing evidence if I'm not even sure myself. No, Your Honor, at present I have no conclusive evidence. CRG?
In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegation.
What? What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. Seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Argy, I'll leave the rest to you. He vanished.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright.
This... Oh, that's it? Please. Please. Slap another one on for good measure. Lady Luck. Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one more lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant's invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right here in this very room. Actually, that's good advice from Gant. Don't gamble what you can't afford to lose. You know what? Salient point, yeah.
Who is this person?
Humph. Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling the witnesses today.
Mr. Wright? Does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. Defense calls Lanasky. Sick of the mic a bit. Defendant Miss
Lanasky?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. Her task, dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well. Court will now take its final recess for the day. 15 minutes, we'll reconvene to hear the defense's testimony.
This court is in... Hold on. Huh?
Chief Gant! I thought you were going to eat.
Listen good, Lana. Hey, Judge, he revoked his right to testify. What the fuck's he doing? He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. Your Honor! The fuck? That's right! Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder! Your Honor, the hell! Respectfully, the hell! Of course you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet. You bastard. Well, that was weird. Anyway, if there aren't any further objections, we're now in recess. Okay, one final part. Nearly done. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. Ha ha ha! I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided where to work. At your office! My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Deal. Great odd couple. Could he mean... Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How does he always get the upper hand? It's not fair that he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. But Chief, that's not a right to be casually invoked. There's certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the Chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything, too. I assume Lana? Oh no, it's Emma. My bad. Emma? It's a dynamite Lana impersonation. Emma, are you okay?
Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery.
So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. 'Cause he is as smart as you are, half-witted dorks. Yeah, that's fair.
No, don't be. It was the truth. But you know, it's funny. I almost feel relieved somehow.
Relieved?
Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. Think all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me.
Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she has changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, forced herself to do anything and everything the Chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold.
It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor.
I see.
Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act.
Emma, why don't you wait here?
No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth.
Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Finally. Jesus Christ. We're so close. So very close. Jesus, holy fuck. God, 16 hours of this. This case really did double the length of the stream for this game. It's been like nearly 4 streams for this. There was one where it was a little bit of DL6, but mostly this. So like 3 full streams and 2/3 of another stream.
Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand?
Miss Lana Skye, your chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. Actually stretching content. Yeah. The game's doing it this time. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course. The truth.
Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Thanks, DL6. Sure, yep.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gonna be a couple presses here. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had to be done. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to capital offense, of course I'm sure.
But Lana... If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning.
Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me.
What if she's telling the Phoenix, fuck off?
She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
Defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Press when I found Marshall's body. Got it. When I found Marshall's body. You said you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body.
What? My God.
The prosecutor marshal died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Miss Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Doc? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Doc was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor, a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle.
That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me.
So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. Broke off the tip, press that.
You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and you moved the body! But why? Why would you do that?
You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why'd you move the body? When you showed us the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, behind Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple.
Let's have it. The witness explained in more detail. The reason the sky moved the body.
Piece of jar shattered during the events threatening my plan. Present the unstable jar. Yeah. For some reason. Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery scene when Neil Marshall was murdered?
Good keeping up, Judge. If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring everyone's attention. A significant contradiction with your testimony! A contradiction in my testimony. You testified, and I quote, the pieces of you testify, the pieces of a jar shattered during the events threatening my plan. That's right. And doesn't sound a thing like me.
Do you have a problem with that? I thought it was half decent.
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on the jar in the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have been broken before he died. Ah. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar!
Order! Order!
Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony.
Okay. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I had enough time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped the blood away. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean there was one... You were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time.
She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well. Defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Alrighty. Immediately noticed blood traces, dark room, wiped with blood, fragments so large, sure got them all. Present the fucking jar again! Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In Chief's safe. Were you not here for the... But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was... still blood on it.
Was she just not in the room for this? But the witness just testified. She gathered every last piece and wiped blood off of them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up at the scene. Thanks, Blue Badger. God fucking damn it. Chief Gant got there before you.
But couldn't the defense simply missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. Ayy. Man, this case is one of those tricks that rush the bull at third base and still refuse to give it up. How fucking long can one case possibly be? We're nearly done. We are nearly done. I'm looking at it. We've got, like, maybe 10 more steps to do. 10 more, like, choices to make here. And then the game is over.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that?
God damn it, Judge.
Have you forgotten, Your Honor?
Yo, it's cool to see what 7-9's gonna turn into in like 30 years or so. Because I assume he's already 40 and the judge is like 70.
I know we're nearly done, but still.
When the witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. Oh, we're not implying the person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Doc downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No! No! Why is he the one screaming? Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
God damn it, Judge.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness.
Beacon of light in this case. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question: was this action called for? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped create evidence that incriminated Doc. Sparing Emma, therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became Chief's puppet. She shot blood out of her thumb. No, I did it all on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth, Mr. Wright.
Judge! What the fuck? Wait a minute. What if we're smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies, then? Not that part. Miss Skye, please testify once more. Judge, not something you want to be admitting in front of your people. It's true. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. Yeah, that Gant fucker can't testify anymore. His cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time.
Okay, actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Drake were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body and the sword to carry it. But if it's all really fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword?
You are the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof.
What? I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember seeing a picture like that.
Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Well, shit, we got a picture. Emma was right. Present this picture. I don't remember seeing any picture from Lana.
Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from my bed. Let's check the evidence again. There must be a picture in here somewhere.
Love that duck. Aha! Well, shit, that's grim. Hey, there's a picture in here. Emma, look! The guy you murdered! Oh, he's missing a bit of his fucking thing!
Oh my. This is the actual crime scene.
No other detectives solve a crime scene like this, because I can contact criminal affairs only after I rearranged everything. Crime scene taken from the case 2 years ago.
Mr. Wright! The piece cut out from his vest. Could that be?
The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this? Oh yeah, this bit.
Is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those are must be the real murderer.
About that. What? Those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma!
Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. As long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. Let's do this thing. When I arrived, found Mr. Marshall's body impaled in the suit. Uh-oh. I actually kind of got like a shiver through my body at that. I was like, uh-oh. Also, you! Go away. You're not allowed to say anything else. You gave up that right. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant? What, now you want to make me out to be a bad guy, too? If so, I'd like to put a word or two in for my defense. Well, you can't, bitch. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. Yep, dude could be scary as hell. He's the only person I think who's ever interrupted a cross-examination like that. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? So close to the end. Well, that's gonna be it for the street now. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true! Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? That's fucking convenient, isn't it? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Righto? Huh? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is that true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out to be the murderer. Mr. Wright, you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I'd better think this through. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Marshall? Nah. According to the guide, no. Oh god, we're so close to the end. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present this time. What? You lie. Chief Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? Looks like part of it's been cut for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her.
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items you had in your safe? I thought he couldn't testify. Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you, 7-9? Phoenix Rightland!
But why?
For insurance, of course.
Insurance?
I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for the murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jaw fragment? I hit the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Ho ho ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come now, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright?
So you admit to it then, Chiefkin. You were hiding this cloth thing. You cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being the chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. Should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess this up, victory is mine. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence.
Ah, shit, that was... Okay, I almost presented my badge. Almost. That would have been embarrassing. Super embarrassing. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! At last you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on the piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests immediately be sent to the lab for evidence. His handprint on the leather. This must be a strong impact for he left so clearly.
You mean?
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho-ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all the time to present the evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that?
Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. Whose fingerprints this belong to are Emma Sky.
Emma Sky?
What? They're mine?
I'm sorry, Emma.
But why? Why didn't you tell me?
Ha ha ho! You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true, tragic but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his brutal and violent death.
How could you? You monster.
Miss Sky.
You knew whose fingerprints those were all on, and yet you
You acted like she really didn't.
Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
Ha! But I'm afraid it's over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too! You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you gonna tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh? And what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it? That bitch right there!
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is!
Mr. Wright! This piece of cloth? What could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence contradicts his cloth. For some reason, it's this fucking photo.
It's fun watching you squirm, Righto. This piece of evidence does indeed seem to contradict something. Outward appearance of mental sanity.
Okay, that's not right. My bad. Wrong photo. Wrong photo. Embarrassing, I'm sure. We're all very embarrassed for me. I see the error of my ways. It's this photo. Excuse me.
And what is this supposed to be exactly?
The picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Come on, Case, give it up already and be over. We're nearly done. There's 3 more things I need to do. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs were no doubt punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth. Nary a speck of blood on it. Wait, there's no blood on it. Ah!
I know. Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on the cloth, there's no doubt she shoved the shoved the bastard aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at the time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he shoved aside. He most likely is on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar of the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted to only moments ago? That you personally cut the bloodless piece of the victim's chest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer!
No!
It's finally all over. God, terrifying meltdown pose. Of course. Ah, look at him weep. Look at the old man, the pitiful old bitch. Oh, righto, you almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see that piece of cloth?
It's illegal evidence.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Order! What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence. It's a flashback, we get it.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Did you actually think you could beat me in court?
Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth. True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence was indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit it? You purposely and illegally concealed evidence?
I did not. I admit, I refused to present it at one point.
Aha! So the evidence is illegal.
No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present the evidence then. It's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Haji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe it.
There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is that evidence legal or not?
Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of law, then do so now.
Goddamn badge, get the fuck out of here. I need Dr. Quacker's Book of Evidence Law for idiots. This is my proof, Your Honor! Evidence law.
What's this? Is that Dr. Quacker's?
I've done my homework, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more.
What?
You see it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between this cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant.
You yourself confessed to a certain truth.
Blah blah flashback.
No!
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, you sick son of a bitch!
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate that case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Goodman.
Detective Goodman.
Dan Gant's a psycho.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find the truth. Please, you gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. And then all of a sudden he decided to speak out.
Oh, fuck. I need his...
What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer evidence out. There's too many questions left unanswered.
Hated that Goodman and his shitty voice. He opened his evidence locker as he was taking the evidence out, and he said,
"It's not too late. I'm going to hand all of this over to Marshall."
Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words and his shitty voice. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. The accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crimes. Even so, blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. Bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. Now, I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecutor's car aside, how could you get Miss Sky involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah, looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. God, this was still an extra hour, even going as fast as I did with a guide. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. But you're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try and go it alone. God, you're still here? Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator, an example father. Oh my god, just fucking hurry up. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You got Righto and Worthy. With these two, you can't go wrong. I can hear them already. Melodious singing of a new age of law. I forgot about you. There are two things I want you to... of course there are. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see Miss Sky, you don't have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When his trial's over, I'll tell everything. No doubt these past 2 years. No time for evidence Gant. So, seems question after trial. Sorry, Miss Sky, I couldn't get you out of trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years now, you might just make it to the top. Aww, look at that smile. She's happy. I owe my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Fire! I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. In light of the case, it seems good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky. Yes, Roman. You are innocent of murder. However, although Chief blackmailed you, the fact that you acted as accomplice, a trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt any of these free of these heavy chains. She just exploded into white light. It's the most miraculous thing I've ever seen. Amen, Judge. The trial's gone on far too long already. Court finds defendant Miss Lana Sky not guilty. Woo, baby! Come on now, Edgy. Won't kill you. Properly accept a compliment every once in a while. Court's adjourned. Woof! Finally. At long last, it's finally over. Can say that again. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry her sister didn't get completely off, but at least she wasn't convicted of murder. Not that, just now at the end of the trial. I can see you, Miss Faye. Oh, you're right. It's a flashback. Well, it's a long one for some reason.
You know, I did my best too, but... bits from Arg, a full 50 bits. Thank ya, baby. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. God damn it. Shut up, you. Wait, Detective Gumshoe. What is this? Doing this on purpose, making Detective run around. I've seen happier people at funerals. I'm only kidding. You here again because of my sister? Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal. That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. My client? Hi, what's up? Lana. Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. It's time to pog! It's okay, sis. Don't worry. 2 years ago, that day, you didn't kill anyone. Although you had a smashing coat, I must say. Looked really good on you. Sis. You didn't ask me to uncover the truth, realized I was wrong, changed after that day. If I had to, it was the only way. Past these 2 years. Distracting, distancing, I was scared. But sis, you're only doing it for me. No, I turned my back on you. It was deceiving, sis. Such a fool, so sorry, but sis, you don't apologize. I'm happy now, you're happy. Of course I am, you don't say that. Aw, that's cute. Even in my wrap this the fuck up mental state, that's cute. That's a nice shot. I didn't read a word that they said there, but that is cute. Well, Gumshoe sure is the dumbest dork ever with a heart of gold, isn't he? Well, yes. That's right, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. I don't think we ever meet Lana again. Maybe Emma. Yeah, she's in a couple of the games. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were not the ones who acted corrupt, you know. It's too late for me. Oh, right, he's fucking leaving. Yeah, you're resigned, you're leaving. Despise criminals, one day you'll understand. It's another flashback, hot damn. Extending the fucking case some more. That's my job, Damon Gant. Case would have been half as long if I didn't have dramatic pauses. Both the best when it came to fighting crime, they both made the same mistake. Said in order to fight crime, they needed weapons. That's true, backstage trial, you weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. Because of that partnership, you're able to present evidence, isn't that right? Huh? What? Pop quiz? Evidence, huh? Something neither Edgeworth or I would be able to find on our own. Fuck you! It's my badge! Mr. Wright, it seems you still have a lot to learn. The guide says present attorney's badge, probably because it doesn't matter what I present. Stream's going so on, nearly made 2K channel points during it. Edward, what do you do now? I have to remember, in the end it's up to you. I love you and I'll miss you. I'll see you in the next game. Farewell. Whee! Say hi to Von Karma for me. Seems you have to be leaving. I'll leave you with Detective Quacker's basic investigation. Good old Detective Quacker's at it again. And so, another case came to a close. They lived happily ever after. I don't fucking know. It's funny how not bitter and drunk I am at this point. Jesus Christ! Why is Butts there? He wasn't anything to do with this case, no matter how much something smelled. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. What is it? A little matter. I thought you said it was okay. Something 30 minutes, not cheap. Yeah, well, haha. You see, Mr. Wright, there's a bill, I don't know, salary. Should have presented the evidence that lists Emma's picture on the back of it during the last one. Nah. According to the guide, I present my attorney's badge because it doesn't fucking matter, apparently. Oh, God. Arrange for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I don't know who that is. I'm sure she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. Yeah. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days as prosecuting office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. As like a consultant, maybe. Enrique has to see this, does he? Part of me just wants to fucking say screw the end credits bit and spin the damn wheel. At least it's finally over.
God almighty. Ugh. I was a goner for a moment in the end. They overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. Ah, that's good. Gumshoe made it. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. Just goes to show you can't shake me off that easily. Alright. Tell you what. This has been fun and all. We have a new game to pick. An end credits scene happened, alright? It just did. Deal with it. Alright, we have Shovel Knight, Vampire, Tulip, Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones, Metal Arms Glitch in the System, Damnation, Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, Mega Man Battle Network Sick, Hector, Badge of Courage, Shantae and the Seven Sirens, and Mega Man 03 on the list. The next Phoenix Wright isn't there, purely because I don't want to play it again right away. And Fallout New Vegas is not there because it would take far too long to play, and I already have enough games to get through, what with everyone requesting things. Not that I don't love it. Thank you all very much for your requests. Mike Meekins is screaming in the background. You can kind of see him there. The game on Thursday will be Metal Arms Glitch in the System. I was hoping for a Oh, you know what? I should have added Hamtaro. You know what? You know what? It's not Metal Arms. It is not Metal Arms. Hamtaro is not on the list. That is a mistake. Hamtaro. There we go. All right. We're spinning again, everyone. Giving it another spin. It's the fucking blue badger on screen. God damn it. All right, giving Hamtaro a proper chance at victory. Doesn't look like it's going to be Hamtaro. Yay! A game I want. Pokemon Sapphire Randomizer. A new Pokemon Randomizer. Hot damn. Don't worry, that one will be quick. I know Pokemon Sapphire pretty well. That's going to be like 3 or 4 streams at most. So, you get another chance pretty quick here. But a Pokemon Sapphire Randomizer, you did get debated. It also got really close to Hamtaro, I can't help but notice. Anyway. That is going to be it. Yeah, what? Debated. I chose his game on the wheel, but then I had to respin because Hamtaro wasn't on there. Yeah, if Phoenix Wright Trilogy was on the wheel, as you can see, I would have respun if I had hit that. If I had hit Phoenix Wright, that would have just been a respin. But, nope, Pokemon Sapphire Randomizer is up on Thursday. Like I said, that'll be good fun, good Pokemon game. Been a while since I've done a proper one, not that stadium bullcrap. So, on Thursday, we get to see what crazy-ass world of Pokemon randomizing has for me this time. And it'll be a good old Gen 3, one I know and love quite closely. So until then, I will see everyone later. Love you all. Goodbye. Have a good rest of the week.